mean, I'm not gonna fault it. It's a good device. I just, for the first time in the last, and this is gonna be like words
No,
that I'm
we
gonna
gotta
eat.
bag on it a little
No, no,
bit.
no,
It's
no, 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 no,
okay.
no. It's just it's gonna be, if it eats, oh, he's
I
gonna
feel like
nag on me.
it's
It
getting
just
this wave of popularity just because it looks more like an iPhone. Oh, hello.
oh my God, yes. Sorry.
Hey
Hey, hi
everybody.
everybody. How you doing? Happy Thursday. It
Happy. So happy it's
is Thursday.
Thursday.
It is Thursday. Yes,
SHIT. That's the acronym.
that's how we spell it.
Well, welcome to another episode of a cranky old guys hangout where we basically call each other and just chat about what has been the best tech of our week.
Yeah, or
Called the best
event
of our week.
or something. Yeah, whatever ends up working for us at this point.
You
Um,
know.
no, I wasn't really bagging on it. I
Well, let's give the audience a little insight into our pre-show conversation because you made a shocking admission.
yeah,
This is maybe the hottest of hot takes
please,
for
yes.
2024, and I feel like you just need to go public with this. I feel like you need to share this with our audience proper. I feel like you're doing a disservice to people by playing this so close to the vest.
You're setting it up so high. It sounds like I'm about to drop like yeah, yeah.
Where we do
Juan,
like the serious thumbnail.
Juan and I. Oh no, that's Philip DeFranco. Let's not do that. I do not want to do that. Oh my
I'm sure
God.
he's got it patented. I like he'd have a team of lawyers
Yeah,
at
he's
our
like,
door tomorrow
like no,
morning.
we're not doing that. Every time I see that look, I'm like, I that's engraved. It's like in laser engraved. No, okay, look, I've been using the Pro 9 XL for about 3 weeks now. You know, when we got it, when it was launched, and I couldn't. The design did not escape me. I see a lot of the similarities in how, at least when you're looking at the bottom part of the phone, that it looks very similar to the iPhone design. It's a flat surface, titanium sides, but it just you're like in sight so close to it that it's um, I ended up starting to have to carry the phone with my pinky. I don't like, usually, by the way, when I'm holding phones. I was about to hold something I wasn't supposed to. I don't
Yeah,
like holding them and putting the pinky to hold it up. I actually grab it as a candy bar, and I
yeah.
actually am able to use it exactly. That phone, the 9 Pro XL, for some reason, is forcing me to put the pinky there, and it just starts to hurt the finger.
A little bit.
Um,
I
and
got you.
so it's purely, it's not a performance issue. It's not a camera issue. I posted a video actually from using it when I was in Berlin a few weeks ago. So for me, it has been a pleasure. There's some good things and there's some concerns. But when I got the Pixel 9 Pro Fold last week from Team
Mm-hmm.
Pixel, I didn't think I was gonna like that phone as much as I thought I did. I mean, as much as I ended up liking it. Um, the smaller screen actually was a little bit better for me. I found it to be a little bit more, it kept things organized a little bit, not too much landscape to try to kind of go hunt around for it, which is,
That's fair.
it goes against everything I've said for the last 10 plus years of I always appreciate the larger of all devices. And now I'm appreciating the slightly, 6.3 inch as opposed to a 6.8 inch display. So making me basically switch to it. So now it is my daily driver. And I
Hey.
and I like the form factor as I'll say this. A lot of the things you said last year about the Pixel Fold, the first generation,
Mm-hmm.
why you switched to it as a daily driver initially as well, are resonating with me. I appreciate the
Nice.
functional designs, the cues. I like the display. I like the fact that it's a little bit flatter, the wider display on the front, kind of again that the whole
Mm-hmm.
OnePlus Open type of a solution. So yeah, I do prefer a slightly smaller display than the Pixel 9 Pro XL. I gotta slow myself every time I say it
I
because I feel like I'm going to say something else.
yeah, and it just doesn't quite roll off the tongue.
It just,
I've been
yeah, I mean, you could just call it the Pixel 9 Fold. There's no reason to say Pro. Like,
it's well, it bothers me that Google is making this line in the sand.
mhm,
The Pro is the more expensive one,
yeah,
and the main defining feature is the RAM. Because
it, it's
I
it's
don't
it's one of
know
their,
what
yeah,
else
their,
makes a Pro a Pro. Is that they're really trying to just float this like AI stuff, and you need more RAM.
well, yeah. I mean, we've heard it from many companies that they do, but I don't know if Google's utilizing all that RAM to run on device stuff. A lot of their stuff is online. Like very little is actually. I mean, there's a few, the keyboard,
Not much.
the assistant access to the assistant, not Gemini. Actually, no, just like
Not
that. Gemini
much.
Nano is in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's what I'm saying. I don't see. I'm not sure if maybe this is future proofing or per se
I don't
trying to
know.
make
I
sure
mean,
that you get that warm and
even
fuzzy.
like
You have
the
16.
zoom in enhance stuff and the video boost stuff, and I'm like as we're streaming this right now, I'm
Yes.
finishing up a camera review on the
Hmm.
Pixel 9 Pro XL,
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah.
and I think it's funny because I don't know how to shut the f up. I'm speed running through most of my sections because I like do saturation and exposure. I do white balance, raw performance,
Yeah, yeah.
bokeh and lens quality, blah 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 blah. I've got all these categories. This is so similar to the Pixel 8 Pro that I am radically condensing a lot of these sections because I'm going to go out there and say, hey, if you saw my camera review on the Pixel 8 Pro, kind of the same, and it's still shaping up to be a 26-minute long video.
It's hard when
Even
there's. I mean, there's a lot
squishing
to
all
be
this
said.
stuff down.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Even with the attempt of condensing it, there's still a lot to talk about. I mean, yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you. I find that I'll say this, I prefer the Pixel 8 Pro's design over the Pixel 9 Pro XL,
Okay.
only because of I appreciate not on the front. I get it. A lot of people love flat displays. Peace. I got you with that. I got you with that. But
Yeah.
appreciated having the curved edges on the back so that when you're holding the phone, you had a little bit more of a comfortable like grip on the phone. Um, this the Pro XL for me, it just gives that sharp. It's just the sharp edges all around. And I just wasn't used to using that. And with all the other phones that I've jumped from, the Samsungs, the Motos,
Mm-hmm.
all of the stuff that's on the market right now. Like I'm trying to force myself not to say the name of some things that are in front of me, so I don't want to break any kind of.
I I'm right there with you because I kept like reaching for something else.
I
I
almost
mean,
grabbed one. I almost grabbed one to say this is how I like to hold the phone. Like that's how
I,
bad it
I'm
was.
I'm going with you on this one though.
Yeah, yeah,
I adore Sony style flat sides
yeah.
for how you hold your phone as a camera. So I
Hmm.
kind of like on the iPhone and on the Pixel, like even on the at the beginning of the year we got the Xiaomi 14 has
Yeah,
very
yeah.
iPhoney like
That one,
dimensions,
but they
very
did it
iPhoney
right.
like
I like the
sides.
way they did it. The bulge on the casing on the backing
It's
was
a
a little.
little more. It's a little more different than the
It's a
Pixel
little
is.
bit yeah, it gave you more. You still had the ability of doing that iPhone-y flat side, but you still also
Yeah,
gave us that little bit of a rounded edge on the back to make it a little bit more enjoyable in the hand. And which again, to me, it's more about longevity and usability. And when you're using it
for
day in,
sure.
day out, grabbing it, putting it out, putting it in, so you start feeling these things. And I don't I'm not used to again, I'm not used to using the pinky as in there, and it's bothering me.
I I'm trying it. So I've got my OnePlus 12.
Yeah.
That is a really easy phone for me
Hmm.
to not
I
wedge a pinky under and unlock.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you're right. I think the Pixel 8 Pro is easier to unlock the phone one-handed, and it feels the dimensions aren't that different, but it feels like more of a reach
Hmm.
if I'm going to do this one-handed and not do the pinky cradle that you're describing, which then also kind of seats the phone so much lower in your hand. I do worry about that little top
That little
heaviness.
yeah, it is a little bit top heavy. It is, but I mean, other than
And I
that
still don't
though,
have my Peak Design case for it yet, because
oh
then I can
dude,
attach like some kind of magnet thing to the back and it'll be easier to hold.
I
This
ended up
is
going with the
this is
Spigen case for the Fold. Yeah, on mine.
this is solid.
Oh, we froze for a second there. Okay, so maybe we're having bad internet today. Juan, are you with us?
I think it might be on my side.
Hey, welcome
Like I
back.
might just be locking up.
No, no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
But yeah, so 25 minutes,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of conversation about the actual photography on the phone. Spoilers, and this is like these are the big videos for my Patreon. So if you're
Yeah, yeah.
catching this
No, no, yeah, make
podcast,
sure you
then
check it
I
out.
am spoiling a little bit of it. But in talking about that, it's like Google, it's like a Gish gallop of this feature and that feature and video boost and zoom enhance and
Hmm. Your audio is gone.
missed it. Add
Oh,
me.
and it's back now.
You got to test all this stuff,
Hmm.
and I don't know, and all of it is really expensive to develop and implement and then operate.
Of course.
It's it's expensive stuff. It's is not cheap. Generative AI is not cheap, but I don't know that any of it really makes the camera better.
I think in actually in certain aspects, I will say from my experience with using it for the last couple of weeks, I feel like they've gone a little bit more natural coloring. I feel like there's like it's almost like if I had to kind of describe it, you know how like how in on Xiaomi devices now we have like a vibrant, like a authentic, and I see that the color profile somehow is a little bit more tuned towards authentic. Like colors don't seem to be too saturated. The sharpening is still there. That's pixel. That's just
Oh yeah,
normal pixel stuff.
it's a lot of structure.
Exactly. And but what I
Yeah.
found it is when I was doing that that video when I was grabbing all those shots at you know animals are beautiful and they have a lot of patterns. They have a lot of color and different aspects of what they are. It's not like just like a regular face. One consistent color that you're just trying to get the shadows around. Where I would, snap a few pics, and obviously I'm using the telephoto. I'm reaching because sometimes you're not very close to the actual subject, and I noticed a lot of the colors are a little bit more subdued, a little bit more to natural as far as what they are, what I'm used to getting from my older pixels. And I feel like I almost had like a couple of times where, and in the video I kind of showed there where I would turn on vibrant. I turn on and I go and edit it and just turn on a vibrant filter, and it just gives that little bit of a boost if I wanted it out of the image.
Hmm.
So in that aspect, for me, that kind of, I mean, it's a personal choice. If you like it, this is perfect. It's closer to what it is. And if you want to edit it, they give you the tools. But
Yeah.
it's been a consistent camera. Like there's no beef for me in the
I
fact that I can just take this phone out of my pocket, double press the power button,
yeah.
snap a pic, and it's going to give me a good image.
I still feel like it still
Yeah.
achieves that
No,
that
absolutely. The cornerstone of what they're known for, they still perform very well. I think.
yeah. I guess I don't know what it is that I want to see out of a Pixel camera, and I don't know that as the price continues to climb on the
That was,
Pixel,
yeah.
that is still the fun.
So just so you know, your audio keeps going out. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So guys, just let us know in the comments below.
Hold
Can you
on,
hear both of us, or is it just my
or
son?
am I
Oh, here
really
you are.
cutting out
Now
here?
you're back. Yeah, I just want to
Uh,
know if you guys can let us know, is Juan's audio cutting out, or is it on my side? Because we haven't had this type of problem before. Usually it's the microphones. Well, it is the microphone, I guess.
I don't know.
Uh,
Okay, Ron says no me. I don't know what to do because I show levels, and this is at this point I say it's a StreamYard issue, which
dang
is
you, StreamYard's messing up the audio on Juan's levels.
I mean I'm in the
Uh,
settings now and I see levels.
Oh, no, no,
So
no. And you're back. Like, so in the past, what it would do is you'd be talking and it cuts off at one point, and I thought it was just me. And then it comes back right away. But no, I mean, we're back. We're good. Let's see
I
how it
mean
is.
like that's
That's
not
gonna mess the
anything I
audio.
can
The audio
control.
version of this is gonna
So
have like, where did they go?
I don't
What
even know
happened?
where we were. The second we start complaining about microphone stuff, I just go instant Muppet crazy angry and I just want to flip a table over. So
No, 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 no,
it's
no. Sorry.
fine.
It's not a. I don't think it's a mic pro. You're right.
It doesn't
Um,
matter.
yeah, I
It
know.
doesn't matter. There is nothing I am not fiddling with the microphone while we're doing this. I am literally looking at you and occasionally like typing things out to people in the chat. So there's like no point in trying to discuss it or troubleshoot it because
No,
what are we going to change?
no.
It
I
is
know. It's not
out
like
of
we're
our
gonna.
hands.
It is
I have
absolutely out
no
of our.
idea what this sounds like until the show is done and I can
Mhm.
download it and see what did StreamYard do to our audio. I love when people are like, "Oh my gosh, the mic," and you're like, first of all, you've given me no description of what the problem is. Second of all, I'm not trying to make the
No,
audio crap.
it isn't. It isn't. One thing I'll probably say is it is something on StreamYard's side. I'm pretty sure it is because of the consistency of it, where it kind of fades out and comes back, and then either way,
It sucks.
That part, it is what it is, and
I,
yeah, no, but
that sucks for everybody else because it's not what I'm. My version of this show that we're in the middle of right now has been awesome.
I know.
So
And
everybody should just watch the show like I stream it, and then there would be no problems.
we should just turn on closed captioning,
right? Everybody just come over to my place, and we'll do the show
watch
live.
it from one show, one sided. I think, yeah, it'll be the show that we want. No, I mean, look, the reality is, I
remember what I was gonna say. Okay, hold on.
Please, go
so
for it.
Price to delight or price to enjoyment or whatever it is that we're gonna call it.
Mm-hmm.
I worry that what is the most basic point and shoot experience doesn't live up to an $1,100 price tag.
Is it worth the extra price from last year?
You're telling me what you care about on a Pixel is I pull the phone out of my pocket and I push the circle, and I maybe only push the circle once or twice because there's no buffer on a Pixel. You don't get lots of chances. And then you put your phone right back in your pocket. And that experience is easily replicated on a Pixel 8, on a Pixel 7, on any of the Pixel A series phones. And that is not the kind of person who is looking to drive the cameras aggressively in the most challenging shooting conditions, in the lowest of low light situations, and the most like cinematic or pro grade kinds of situations. So a Pixel 7, or excuse me, a Pixel 7 Pro was delightful at like $800 because it was close to the experience of an iPhone Pro, but at the same price as a regular iPhone. And now the Pixel 9 Pro XL is closing in on the price of a Note 24.
Pretty close. Actually, yeah, you're right.
It's kind of ash in my mouth that I would ever say something nice about Samsung in any kind of comparison situation. But I'm not sure the overall hardware on a Pixel 9 Pro XL is really giving the Note 24 a good competitive run for its money. Like, you've got an S Pen enabled device with 4 cameras on the back and DeX and so much additional software that is eminently practical. I don't like One UI, but you can't tell me that it's not more functional and more productivity focused than what you get on a Pixel. And that camera comparison is really close now that Samsung's finally improved their telephoto sensor with a whole extra sensor in between.
That's true.
Just to kind of give you a little bit of a buffer.
It's a tough sell. No, I get it.
It's so much harder because the Pixel 8 Pro was at least near the price of the Galaxy S23 Plus.
Yes.
Not
$899, I think, is the starting price.
Ultra.
Yeah.
So I think Google had a better, because like a Pixel 8 Pro could do things with the camera that a Galaxy S24 Plus could not emulate, could not replicate. You just had better sensors all around on the Pixel than you do on an S23 Plus. And now Google has lost all of that price competitive advantage. What made that Pixel fun in part was that it was also performance per dollar. And that's not a part of the Pixel 9 conversation anymore.
No, but I also feel like to a certain point, I think we've mentioned this in the past, I feel like the 9 series is really more of a 6 upgrade type of a cycle, not a 7 or an 8 like we talked about before. The improvements that we have in here over the...
Think about the jump. If you had a Pixel 6 Pro, I know, like an $800 phone to
you got it at $800. And then now you're like having to fork up just to get the same size phone, not even just to get the Pro, because the Pro technically is 6.3, which is a smaller like if you didn't watch the show and you just go to the store, it's like, I have a 6 Pro, I just want to get the 7 Pro, and then you're like, wait a minute, not the 9 Pro, and you're like, wait, is this smaller? What happened? What did they? Oh, now we have the XL, the extra large Pro Max. Fusion side.
I had this really obnoxiously pedantic conversation with someone. He's like, I don't see any price increases. The Pixel 8 Pro costs this much, and the Pixel 9 Pro costs that much. And you're like, so you're literally comparing just because that they're both called the Pro.
Yeah, well, no,
Not
that's
that
what I'm
one
saying.
is now the Pro
He
XL.
didn't get
You
he didn't get
pedantic,
the memo, that hyphen asterisk at the side.
and you just
Excel,
grab them and shake them. You just shake them
Jacob's like,
until your arms
I
hurt.
love you, but you're driving me crazy. It's one of those. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But
like
on
in
a
a
side
bad
note,
way.
the Pro, the Fold, the Pixel 9 Fold is surprisingly very, very, like for multitasking, switching forward, back and forth. I like the form factor, the consistency, the
Yeah.
performance. Editing with it, I think you and I kind of had a little bit of conversation. So I edited my Pixel Pro, did my Pixel 9 Pro XL video on my Pixel Pro 9 Fold again, just to keep them, pixel side, because I wanted to make sure that that video was shot, rendered, edited, all of that stuff on a Pixel.
Sure.
And surprisingly not bad. It's a 6.5-minute video rendered at 4K 60 at about 6 minutes, with the Tensor G4.
Nice.
And I'm using, and this is not even with Luma, this was with CapCut, but it rendered pretty
Oh,
nicely. I had a little bit of not hiccups, but I don't want to say like modulation, but like just it's slightly slower startup on first playback when you're playing multi-stream, or if you're running dual 4K 60 streams and you're trying to jump back and
Sure.
forth. The intro of my video has a part where I'm showing audio eraser, and it was just in a loud spot at the zoo. And I didn't realize it till after I played the clip back. I'm like, this would be a perfect example for this. So I ran it, and it definitely improves. But I have to match them first, play them back, and figure out where I want to cut and jump and do all of that. Just to do that, it was just not picking up. And I was like, okay, this is
it. It kills me that
painful.
like even in LumaFusion we don't have a tool to do like dialogue replacement.
Yeah, like easy, or
if
audio
I pull,
sync. Yeah,
if I pulled my speech off of an external microphone, I'd love to be able to just put that in there, but you can't line it up perfectly in one of these mobile editing apps. It drives me crazy. It's like one of those last few things that I would love to. I could genuinely put like most desktop grade software away if I could get that, and then also like just some better basic like image stabilization tools.
I can't tell you how tempted I was to throw that on my PC just to edit the video, because I really like that. I'm like, no, because like in my TK, we have the tools, $6 million man, we have the technology, we can make him better,
we can rebuild him.
We can rebuild. And it's like, no TK, you said you were going to do it this way. And so I even I made a point of making myself say that in the video so that I can't cop out of it, because if I cop out of it, that is like, what's the point? So long story short,
that's cheating.
It is, and I'm not gonna cheat on those type of, it's part of it's about the experience. And long story short, video's doing well, as you can expect. There's no search for Pixel 9 Pro XL at this time. It's basically everybody unboxing the iPhones at this point. All of the iPhones that look pretty much the same, but
And again, it's the same sick fascination too, where it's like I would imagine that the main traffic is really only the Fold, because it's the most expensive phone that the fewest people will buy.
Yeah.
So if there's any curiosity about any of the Pixels,
well, so
no one cares about the Pixel 9.
Yeah, surprisingly, the unboxing
people,
on that. Yeah. No, what I meant to say is, like last week when I got the devices, I did 2 videos, one for each, the Pro XL and the Fold. Yeah, the Fold picked up pretty quick, like surprisingly. I basically reused.
I don't think
the
it's that surprising. I think it's again.
Well,
it's
I was surprised because
curiosity of
I thought
what
it was
is
just,
the most expensive phone do.
Yeah, that's usually how it is.
It doesn't seem like it's really. Again, you would think that if we were making these videos for any kind of intended audience or as education, like this might help make someone make a purchasing decision, that we would see a bit more even split on the phones that people will actually go and buy.
Yeah.
Right? I love walking into a car dealership to see the sexy sports car, but I'm going to drive out of there in a fuel efficient sedan. I'm probably going to spend a bit more time reading up on all these really exotic sports cars, because that's fun and exciting and sexy. But then when it's time for me to buy something, I'm going to do a lot of research on, well, what's getting the best mileage and what gets the best range and what has the best safety features and what can we do with
Oh
these
yeah, no, no,
options and
no,
upgrade
exactly, yeah.
packages and stuff like that. But when it comes to phones, it's like Pixel 9 is a foregone conclusion. That's
Hmm.
the phone that all the poor Android users are going to buy. You'll probably get it for free from your carrier. So there's no point talking about it. There's no point. There's nothing you can learn or nothing you can glean.
Hmm.
So really, the bulk of the traffic is going to go, what is the most expensive thing that's called a Pixel? And then we know that the fewest people will be buying that. So there's the interest in the video. I'm not going to buy one, but I really want to see what Google does with their most expensive folding mini tablet. So the Pixel 9 Pro XL is kind of DOA. It's not expensive enough to be exotic, but it's kind of too expensive for your daily driver, foregone conclusion. This is a great, just regular phone.
Yep.
What do you do with it? Like it's a dead topic on YouTube and on Google search.
And well, even with the other thing that I just realized, Google is staging out all of their devices this year. You notice
Mm-hmm.
how long they've stretched out? Like we didn't
Mm-hmm.
see any watch coverage at the beginning, and now we still haven't seen any buds coverage at all. So like I finally decided I pulled the plug and I ended up buying the new buds that they're coming out, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
get them before early October because I wasn't thinking I was going to get them at the beginning, so I just didn't even bother. And but yeah, we still haven't seen anybody making any content on that at all. So there's like a massive delayed release of devices and reviews. The Fold came out a little bit later, like 2 weeks after the XL. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody got it initially. So either way, it seems like new things for Google this year. Copying some things from Apple, maybe not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
copying the pricing schematic there, but it just like we'll have to see. I mean, again, I'm still building up my hopes for next year. I feel like next year is going to be a little bit
I know.
more like
I feel
the thing that we wanted to see.
yeah, I feel this year has been, I don't want to use a word like demoralizing, but it's upsetting that even on the iPhone side of this,
Hmm.
like there isn't anything on the iPhone that I'm like, oh man, I wish we had that. Right? Apple at their peak. I
Hmm.
would never buy an iPhone, but there was always something like, oh, that'd be cool to have. I really wish we had that. And like this year, it's nonsense.
It's a button.
Yeah,
It's
it's
basically
so
them
dumb.
saying we're. And you know what the
We've
cheesy
got
part about
nothing
this
else
is?
to do,
But
so
but the
we're
cheesy part
gonna.
about this is, again, we said this last time. I think they had no space for a headphone jack, but a button was the thing they decided to add. And how long do you think it'll be before we start seeing Android devices come out with that button? Not Sony devices. Sony still has it. But
Yeah,
how long do you think that will be? Do you think do you think the
I
next Xiaomi will have it? Like the
I
Xiaomi
think
15?
no 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 no. So I don't think the Xiaomi that's gonna launch like in a month.
Oh, that's right. Dude,
But I
Vivo's
think
launching in a month. What the hey, man?
yeah.
Vivo.
It's
Like
ratcheted.
like Qualcomm hasn't like Qualcomm's like, dude, hold your horses, bud. Let me announce the freaking chip
But
first.
Vivo don't
He
care.
was like,
Vivo gonna go
no,
MediaTek.
no,
Let's
well, no,
get
but
it
well,
done.
hold on. So Summit for MediaTek, I think usually is in November, right? Because I don't think they moved it last year. They kept it in November
No, I
while
think
Qualcomm moved.
the MediaTek summit's gonna be in November again.
Yeah. So Qualcomm's
Yeah.
going to be in October. So they're doing the thing. And if I remember correctly, Qualcomm announced it. I think it's on the week of the 20th something. So it's not
Mm.
early. It's not in the middle of the month. It's literally like the third week of the month. And Vivo's already like we're gonna launch the new X series. I'm like, oh my god, I'm excited for that. But I'm like, oh, it's not even October yet, and we're hearing
I
about
know.
Vivos and Xiaomi's and iQOO's and
So
blah blah
I
blah blah
don't
blah.
think I
Like.
don't think Xiaomi 15 is gonna
Mhm.
have it, but
I
I would be I'd
Oh, the
say it's
button. Yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
good odds that Xiaomi 16, the end of 2025,
Okay. Give him a year to
is that we're
adjust
looking at some kind of again, they won't call it a capture button, but it's like an
uh,
action button.
yeah,
And then you can use
yeah.
it for
A
whatever
la
you want to
LG
use it
basically.
for.
Bring back the button, but move it a little bit, and
I
don't.
you know, it
Remember
didn't
LG had it.
completely suck
LG
on
had
my
it.
BlackBerry.
Oh, BlackBerry.
BlackBerry had that
Oh, the
side
BlackBerry.
action key too.
Oh yeah.
Alcatel used to do action keys on a lot of their phones.
Oh
So
man,
like
Alcatel.
if
Haven't
you
played with
take
those
it,
for a while.
I know, right?
I know,
I think I still
Alcatels.
have one over there. I might have to
Well,
go
I mean, the
try and
last Alcatels we dealt with here in the family were the flip phones, so they didn't really have action buttons. But
I think it
Omar's
was
first
the
phone.
Idol series might have had one of the Idols might have had a side key or an action button. But anyway,
Yeah.
I hate that right now it doesn't seem like we can figure out any other type of style or design
Hmm.
to imply premium and that it's a nicer product, except just to do sort of something vaguely Apple-y.
Yeah.
So like Xiaomi's really leaning into that. Samsung design, thankfully, hasn't completely leaned into that on the Note, but it's definitely leaned into that on the S. The
Hmm.
S and the S Plus are very iPhone-y. And then I pick up a Vivo, and you're like, at least this feels a little different. I pick up an Oppo or a OnePlus, at least it feels a little different. It's like, man, we're really starting to run out of different, and that's very
It's the
concerning
design.
right now.
So we've been stuck in for the lack of a better term, the glowing rectangle design for some time, right? I
Sure.
mean, we're seeing some innovation in foldables. The Pro 9 Fold, Huawei's Mate XD, the brand new tri-fold functionality.
Yeah.
I mean, we're adding folds upon folds upon fold. And then we had I recently I got a chance to play with the Mix Flip from Xiaomi. Obviously, we have the Samsung Z Fold, we have the V3 that I just got a chance to review as well. So
Hmm.
we're getting some innovation, but the interest in that form factor hasn't gone viral yet. There's still a small number on foldables. But the glowing rectangle design is, for the most part, yeah. Like, what do you change? You change the material. You either go rounded or flat, or you can try to do a combo of the two. So the design really doesn't allow for a lot of, like, we went away from the colorways that we used to get for OnePlus. I felt like
Yeah.
those used to do a lot on the visual aspect of the actual design.
Hmm.
Very few collaborations, at least in the US. We don't really see a lot of collaborations like Dragon
No.
Ball devices, like Realme does that, or even the Naruto ones, the Coca-Cola one. It just, that little bit of I don't know how to just say, quite like a little bit of a pizzazz that we're not
So
seeing on the
obviously
design.
we can't go radical because, like you're saying, we've explored so many different variations on a rectangle with the screen.
Yeah, yeah, pop up,
But
flip up.
I feel like if you're telling me, hey, we're gonna make flat sides,
Yeah,
okay. Well, Sony made flat sides, and Sony's done a couple different flavors of flat sides.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They've done glossy flat sides, they've done matte finish flat sides, they've done ribbed, like they've
Yep.
done edged flat sides so that you have more grip and texture if you're really going to try and use that phone
Hmm.
just without a case.
Yeah, yeah.
They're we're crediting like Apple with this one idea, but I've got a stack of Lumias over there, and some of them have curved sides and some of them have flat sides. There are ways to do flat sides that are not, this looks exactly like an iPhone.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what's bothering me is it's like we're I understand. I actually really do like the explanation. Google gave this explanation, and I completely agree. If you
Okay.
remove curves and you go to flat sides and you go to a flat screen and a flat back, it seems to help improve durability, and it
Yeah,
should
well,
help make certain repairs easier. It
yeah,
means the machining on your parts requires less energy, and therefore, I mean, if you're using aircraft grade aluminum, there's less CO2 that's put out into the atmosphere just machining the phone than if you
yeah,
use another material or if you put in a bunch of curves or pieces on it. So, all of that I think is perfectly fine. I think that's legit. I think it is a great idea to make building the phone more practical. You did not have to make it exactly like an iPhone. You could have satisfied all of those things and done anything else. In the whole history of how we've made rectangles with screens in them, there have been plenty of other examples of doing something else.
yeah. I
And that
agree.
what made the Pixel a design unique looking device. You could spot a Pixel,
Yeah.
Pixel 6, 7 and 8, you could spot a Pixel against any other phone out there. It's losing some of that identity, and I
Yeah.
don't like that.
It's almost like it was designed for a person that's coming from an iPhone and not wanting to feel like they're not holding an iPhone when they're using a Pixel. I don't know. It's lost on a Pixel, previous Pixel owner, or a device, a person that's used Pixels for quite some time, since the original Nexus lines. But
Sure.
anyways, not to kind of belay the conversation. Obviously, if you haven't had a chance, make sure to check out Juan's Patreon. The links will obviously be in this description below. Please, there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of deep dives, his camera reviews, his extensively long camera reviews that just cover everything with examples, photos, and just all the things that you'd like. Those obviously always be in the description on the Patreon / Some Gadget Guy. I think it is Some Gadget Guy, isn't it? Or it's not Juan Baclao,
Yeah.
is it? Oh yeah, yeah. Well, actually, you find Juan,
Patreon.com/somegadgetguy.
as Some Gadget Guy everywhere. But yeah, no, I kind of feel like we haven't done this for quite some time, although we've had both very busy weeks. But I'm gonna have to throw this really curveball at you, my friend.
Uh-oh.
And
Oh
what has
no.
been the best of your week since we last spoke?
Oh
Like that
man,
little bit
that's
ray of sunshine, I would say, if there's anything that would, bring a smile to your face.
so. I don't even know if I can't really hold up a prop for I how so in the grand scheme of being a tech reviewer and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
we've completely gotten off the tone of our show.
Hmm.
The whole point of our show was that we were supposed to every week talk about the thing that we thought was the coolest. And just to, again, this is the airing my dirty laundry peek behind the scenes. I'm not prepared. Like, I don't have an easy way to show you this because it's so not front of mind. I've just been dealing with so much baggage.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, right, I had some fun this week. Let's focus on that. So, I'm dipping my toe in the slowest way possible. I'm dipping my toe into running large language models
Okay.
on local hardware. And so I'm taking the wacky laptop that I got from Ace Magic,
Hmm.
the dual
Yeah, yeah,
display.
yeah. The dual display.
I'm playing around with a couple of frameworks. So it's
Okay.
a prettier way to take an AI model,
Yeah.
and you can put it. You can just plug any of these models into a prettier UI. And this is on a 12th gen Core i7 U series
Okay.
processor, so this is not a screamer. But I'm trying a couple different models. Like you can get local running AI models that have been kind of built up by Microsoft and by Meta, and I'm just giving them a spin. I'm putting them into this framework. So you download like 4 or 5 gig worth of data,
Hmm.
and then it takes like 8 to 10 gig in RAM to unpack that model.
Okay.
But the thing that was really kind of cool, and also it's just kind of showing us like how far how not how we really haven't gone as far as we think we have.
Okay.
But one of the UIs, one of the frameworks that I'm using allows you to add a second little add-on bucket for like documents.
Okay.
So
To
not
be
only
able
do you
to
take
upload documents or store the documents in the same.
to store the documents. So
Okay.
this I'm not doing anything that is cloud-based. I am not touching a data center, and I'm
Hmm.
also not uploading my catalog of articles and scripts and editorials and stuff. I'm not giving that to train an AI. So
Okay.
this laptop is air gapped. This is everything is running locally on this machine. It is not connecting to the internet, but it's also got the last 10 years of my writing. Every
Okay.
article that I've written, every video script that I've put together since 2014, I kept a copy on my OneDrive. So I downloaded 10 years of documents. That's 1,100 individual documents, and I didn't have most of my tenure at Pocket Now. So I know
Okay.
I'm missing probably like 200 things because I would just at Pocket Now I would just write directly in their blogging software. I wouldn't
Hmm.
even bother to kind of noodle out my ideas in Microsoft Word. So I'm probably missing a couple hundred scripts and articles there. But it was just it was kind of an emotional and amazing experience. I download 1,100 docs, and it's like 60 meg. It's not a lot,
I mean,
but
it's dogs. Just like,
right now
generally, if
it's
there's
like,
no
but
pictures
you
or
think
something,
about it,
just
you're like,
text.
oh, I've been pouring my heart into this. My fingers have bled on these keyboards. I just work so hard, and it's like
60
it's like
megs.
60 meg.
It's
So I
didn't
unpack
even
all
break
of these
100.
documents, and yeah, I know, right? He's
It's
like,
like,
I'm not putting any pictures into these things, but you'd think this would be bigger.
yeah.
I have written 1.46 million words, and
Dang.
it's like just the concept of that, just the
Yep.
idea of that. Before I've even gotten to the AI, it's like this is like try to sum up a decade of your life. Try to sum up 10 years of what you've been doing. Your job, your hobby, and your passion has become your job and how you pay the bills. And maybe there's some emotional baggage on that, and maybe that stresses you out. But then also, it's like you get to sit back and appreciate, like, my hobby became my job. This is kind of amazing. And I've got 1.46 million words that I have put to paper, and I'm about to feed this into an AI.
Okay.
Like I'm like going through the nostalgia of it, I'm going through the emotions of it, and then I'm also going through the dread of like, am I about to create a little Juan bot that can do my job better than me, right? Like, I'm
I
terrified.
would be to me that would be the first thing. It's like, hey, based on this model, based on all the documents that you have,
Sure.
I'm about to edge 2025.
Sure. And you're like
Give me a draft.
using all of this data and my
And
speech,
this,
because I write
yeah,
really how in my scripts, I
in the
write
style
really
that I
how I try
speak,
to
yeah,
talk.
write me a script.
So I put all this data in there. It takes an entire day, an
Okay.
entire 20-hour period for this little Core i7 to embed
I'm surprised. I'm
1.46
surprised.
million
I'm surprised it
words.
didn't break on you. Like
It just
the
kept,
soldering
I would
started to
walk by
fall
the
off.
office and you'd hear these sad little laptop fans just like just working away.
It's like,
So
do
I
not
finally
compute.
like get all that information in there, and it's like the moment of truth. I'm anxious, but I'm also kind of excited. Like, what is this thing gonna do? And then you start using it and you try to talk to this AI, and then you realize it looks kind of cool when you're using Copilot or Gemini or I can't even think of a Chat GPT.
Yeah.
When
Open
you're in a
AI.
web browser and you type out a query, and it takes a second to process, and then you get this like really fast reply. Like
Yeah.
it types out this answer. It looks like it's really cool. It types it out really fast. When you use a local LLM
Mm-hmm.
on not a data center grade workstation server thing,
Or a blade. Yeah. No. Exactly.
you get to see how this thing really works, and
How,
it's not that impressive.
I was
It
like,
really is. So I'm asking you some questions like, hey, what would be some fun article ideas for like, talking about a new cell phone? And it comes up with the solution, but it looks like you handed your phone to your grandmother, and that she was picking from one of the three option words at the top of the keyboard for the auto complete, but it's like so slow. It's like going word by word by word by word to answer
it reminds
the
me of
question.
1994 or 95 when the beep, the 14.4 modem was an option and everything
Right.
was like doot,
And
doot.
you're loading a JPEG and it's going
Yeah.
literally like scan line by scan line by
No,
scan
no.
line.
I
But it's like it's like if you were to take that on the keyboard and you were making the selection by taking your phone, looking at the three words, and then smashing it against your nose to pick which word was going to come next. You ultimately get something that sounds like it could have come from a human in some kind of intelligible way, but
mhm.
with like a 6 gigabyte model that is unpacked to being about 10 gigabytes in RAM, and
Mhm.
then with the entire backlog of like 10 years of my writing, it is not that impressive. Like you kind of understand what the trick is. The
Okay.
reason why the server version of this looks so cool is because it does it faster.
Yeah.
That's it. The word choices, it is just looking for a pattern, and it's trying to guess what might be an intelligible answer. And I'm watching it struggle at going word by word, because it's not like it has an awareness of what you've asked it and it's putting together a reply. It's literally guessing from word to word to word what might come next. It just has 10 gigabytes of words to find the patterns of how words fit together. It is not that impressive. But I finally get through all of this and I like, okay, it can kind of give me basic ideas on things like, what kind of video do I want? Oh, well, here would be a fun video like parents and phones and kids. And you're like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a video that's been made a dozen times, but sure, that you've given me an answer. So then I asked it, what do you know about the LG V60?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's got like 10 scripts of mine that were directly about the LG V60, and then numerous other references that I've made to the LG V60 over the years that I've put videos together. And according to, this wasn't the Llama, I think this was one of the Microsoft models, but according to one of the Microsoft models, ingesting my scripts, the LG V60 was a phone with a 1440p display that ran a Snapdragon 855 and had 2 cameras on the back of the phone. And you're like, man, that is not very impressive.
Even that is not only not impressive, not accurate. I was like, what?
Completely wrong. But I know it's
unless
looking
it's
at
mixing
patterns.
the V50.
It had not just that, all my scripts on the V40, the V50,
Oh my God. Yeah.
the V60. It's pulling.
They used to have higher quality displays. That is true, but they stopped it at the V60. That was literally one of the things that they did. They went 1080p 60. That was like,
how could it be a flagship if it doesn't have a 1440p display? Said Marquez.
So the LLM, so the language model essentially is like correcting you to align you with the better winning theme.
But I gotta say, like, one, there was just the emotional side of like, I just summed up my last decade. That is a weird feeling. Like looking at this bucket of data that I've created.
Yeah, no, the when you start looking
nuts.
at your library of content, the work.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a not as exact same feeling, but I had like a sinking feeling the day where XDA decided to mute, or not to mute, to unlist all of the old videos that the library of content that I made for the first 9-10 years of my career on YouTube, and all of that just disappeared. Like my first video online is no longer there. And it's obviously it's not the same feeling, but it was more about like, having a library of your work, transition from one place to another. And but I'll say this, look, the reality is, I think the model that you have, or the system that you have, doesn't actually have a dedicated NPU. Am I correct to say that? I think that i7 does not have one. So
actually, but I picked a framework where it's more about AVX compatibility than it is direct NPU performance.
Well, because I was going to say, we're starting to see more PCs that are coming out with dedicated NPUs to help with those.
I can't talk about a certain company, but even their Intel systems are, I mean, like, they won't be as powerful as the NPU that I've got in my Surface. But even like the mini PC manufacturers, like, if you need like 10 tops, like, that's actually not difficult to just tack on a little coprocessor like that. But also, it's just doing this in a very conventional way that is very consumer accessible. So I'm not digging, I have not dug into more advanced frameworks, larger models. Like, I could be running something bigger. If one of my systems has like 32 gigs of RAM, let's fill it. What could you do if you tripled what the model contained? Like, I haven't even started pushing into that territory yet. This is literally just like, here is the easiest way to download a smaller model and get it to run so that you can have a conversation with it. So there's definitely more that I want to dig into and more that I want to play with. And I might try and do like an AMD versus Intel. Like, if you want to run this stuff, one will probably do it better than the other.
Oh,
So if
I
you're
definitely
using
yeah.
this model or if you're using this framework, so like there's more on the techie side that I actually do want to try and make a video out of this eventually. But it was just like for my own education, like how do I get this working? How do I keep it gapped? I don't want any of my data going
Mhm.
up. I don't want to cook the planet and burn a ridiculous amount of water just to play with something. And so I'm doing it on a laptop. I mean, it certainly burned some electricity.
Oh no, yeah.
That laptop was cranking for a whole day. But I feel like me running a U series Intel 12th gen laptop CPU for a day is still probably less environmental impact than if I had done a whole bunch of these tests on a server grade data center.
Well, and
Like
plus,
the
and all your
immediacy
data
of
would
that
be
reply.
would be used to yeah, no, that there's a lot more implications going on with it. But I'm glad that you're able to get it to run. I mean, first and foremost,
It was cool.
it's
Yeah,
user
that is actually really
it
cool.
may not be fast, but boy howdy, that is actually. I mean, it delivers somewhat inaccurate
Right.
data, but it's like still that
Completely
V60.
inaccurate.
Well, maybe it knows. Like I'll say this. I asked Gemini last week, what are the specifications for the Pixel 9 Fold, and it told me that it had the Tensor G5 in it,
Huh.
and I was like, great.
They know
And
something that we don't know.
wait, you know what? They got the memo. We didn't get it. They got the memo. But like yeah, no, there's a lot of the data that comes out of any of these models. If you're truly using this for work or actual productivity level, you obviously have to double check it. But yeah, it's getting
Yeah.
inaccurate data, inaccurate information. But yeah, the V60 will always
Well,
be that unicorn. I have it somewhere. I don't know where I have it sitting in here in
oh,
the office.
mine's right behind me always. So if you wanted to ask Juanbot a question,
Okay.
let's see. I've got Mistral loaded up, so we could do that. Load. What would you want to ask a Juanbot?
So if I wanted to ask the Juanbot, I would say, what do you think of the Samsung Galaxy S10e smartphone?
What do you think of the Samsung Galaxy or just Galaxy
I would
S10?
say Galaxy, because I don't think you
Okay.
you refer to them as Samsung Galaxy, but you're like so the Galaxy S10e.
Okay, so I have what? Oh yeah, that's gonna mess with
Oh,
the
that's going to
frame
reflect
then.
really nicely.
So okay, what do you think of the Galaxy S10e and Mistral searching? It's searching through local docs, which
Yeah.
is again, it's
It's
gonna
also
search
another one.
through.
I feel like it's another device that you talked about for quite some time in multiple areas. So it shouldn't be limited to the review, or even the camera stuff, but it more than
Yeah.
likely other videos. So we'll see. We'll
So
let that run. Maybe by the end of the show,
it's
it'll come
still
back. Yeah,
the little gear icon is gonna spin for a bit.
yeah. No, I got you. I
But
got
this
you.
is also kind of like again, I want to get a sense of, like this is low power hardware. I am not
Mhm.
running this on a beefy machine.
Heck, man, you're running it on battery.
Yeah, and it's on
And
battery
it's on
life, so
battery, so
even best
it's not even
performance
running full
on
power. Yeah,
no that Intel machines don't do full power unless you've got it hooked up to a nuclear generator.
yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
anyway, while it sort of figures this out and it
Yeah.
tries to come up with an answer, we got to throw that question right back to you. What has been the best
I
of your week?
So with all of the things and the shenanigans kind of going out, mine is actually not even tech related. We had an amazing day on Sunday. Sunday, first and foremost, we've been going through some really weird weather in Southern California for a while, like really hot weather.
Hmm.
And somehow, some way, we got some really cool weather for about a week now.
So nice.
Sunday was I feel like almost at the peak level where it was nice and cool and a little bit of a cool breeze. Like it felt like fall. So my best part was actually when I had the family over for lunch. We had actually my son, myself, my brother, his kids, the entire extended family all come together and just have a big old lunch and have the kids play in the backyard and just kick it and just have like like a fun Sunday lunch. I don't know how else to describe it, but the the sense of just seeing my son play with his cousins, the weather was really nice. We're all like sweating. We were able to sit outside. I wasn't being eaten by mosquitoes. There's like a whole bunch of different
Yeah.
things that were going in the right way. Unfortunately, it was too cold for balloons, for water balloons. That would have been my only one regret about that day. It was actually too cold for water balloons. And yeah, we sat, we relaxed, we had a good meal. Cleanup was a breeze afterwards. The kids had fun. It was just nice. You know what I mean? Like when you say you're trying to relax on the weekend, it was stuff like that. I mean, Saturday was really busy, but Sunday for me was chill. So that
That's
I got a
good.
chance to be able to re-energize the body a little bit, and then it just went downhill from Monday. And I'm trying to figure out how to get out from it. It doesn't like, and I'm going to be, I'm going to be on location, in the near future. So that's another factor too that I got to get ready for when I'm not at home, to be able to record things in advance and stuff. And so, yeah, it's just things catching up and trying to fix things and, day stuff. And so like, that literally, it stands out to me. Like the first thing when you were talking, I was like thinking like in my mind, like what's the first thing I can think of that made me smile in the last week? And it was Sunday's lunch.
You
So yeah.
got to take those wins where you can.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when the
Yeah.
kids get to play with each other, like you know what I mean. Like they don't see they don't see enough of each other, but this was like genuine, pure fun, like that fun, like the way we think of when we think of, like when you geek out on a piece of tech now, like they do it just naturally, and it's just they're like playing and screaming and whatever and all of that. And my
Yeah.
nephew loves little air guns and stuff like that, so he's like running around trying to take out his cousins. I'm like, this is Call of Duty mobile, miniature
Oh
style.
yeah.
But yeah, and then the food was great, and like I said, the weather was amazing. So like that, to me, that was like the peak. And but there's other things obviously that make me happy that I can't talk about right now. Like I was like, I could.
Yeah, you're a few under embargo.
A few under embargo. I actually have yeah. For the next few weeks, I have a few things. I'm gonna say things because if I say thing, then no, yeah.
Potentially plural.
Yes.
So,
But
it just finished.
ah,
This entire time that we've been talking, it
I
finally
am
started putting
I
words
am
up on
I
the
am
screen.
super eager to hear the result.
Um,
Please go on.
So, according to Mistral Instruct, based on the excerpts provided from two different reviews, it seems that the reviewer has mixed feelings about the Samsung Galaxy S10e. It included Samsung. I did not put Samsung into the query. In one review, they express excitement about its smaller form factor and feature set, but are critical of its audio quality. In another review, they praise the phone's wide-angle camera and call it a great Mighty Mouse phone.
You've said that many times. Yes, I've heard you say
Yeah.
that way.
But also mentioned that the screen size might be a consideration for some users. Overall, it seems that while the Galaxy S10e may have some strengths, it may not be the best choice for everyone based on individual preferences and needs.
That is not bad, my friend. I like this.
That's not terrible.
That is
Got
as
the
close
LG
as I can get to the
V60
original.
completely wrong.
No, dude. Yeah, that nobody knows about LG stuff. Come on. Like, I'm surprised it didn't start off that answer there saying LG does not exist. Thank you.
Right?
Answer is done.
Master of none.
Yeah, no.
That's
But
the
that would
only
be funny
thing
though.
worth knowing about LG.
If this LLM was like truly like,
Right?
if it read all the scripts correctly, it should have known that the LG V60 was the last V60. Anyways, no, I'm with you. That's not true. There was a Velvet. Velvet was, I feel like, one of the last ones, and then there was the Wing. But no, okay. So good job.
That's not terrible.
LM
It
LM1.
took like
Yeah.
minutes to get through
This
all of
isn't.
that,
It's
but
not
that's
too
not
bad.
terrible.
It was enough time for us to go out and have a cup of coffee and come back. It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I didn't ask it for like break down the specifications. Maybe that's a good one. Compare the S10e to the S10 Plus. Like, will it draw? Will it run? No, but you don't do specs. Actually, I don't think you covered the specs in
I
there.
don't think I've got because I would always make that joke about like I don't know. You can go read it at GSM Arena.
Yeah. No, I know,
Let me try and do. What would have been? Can you compare the LG? Let's do the Galaxy S20 against the LG V60.
Bam.
Again, this is going to take a minute.
It's going to take a minute. So yes, no. So with that kind of going on, yeah, I mean, like some of the challenges I'm dealing with, I have a few mods for the car that I'm trying to put in, but you know what? This is something, or trying to work with Teslas and trying to figure out how to open up certain things, they get very challenging. So I was not very productive today doing that part. That was a shot in
Yeah.
the foot. Wasted a good part of, like, because I'm just worried
Isn't
that
that
it just may break it. I
isn't
don't
that the
want to.
worst feeling too though, where it's like, hey, I kind of want to do this. Let me start working on it, and then it takes longer, and then
Yep.
something doesn't work, and then
Yep.
you're like, I burned like
You
my
just
free
wasted a
time. I
whole, yeah.
burned a
I could have
day.
dedicated that time to something else,
Yeah.
and I can't get that time back. So I'm going to try tomorrow. We'll see how tomorrow goes. But no, I actually tomorrow I have to move on to the next project. I'll have to come back to this one later on when I have a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's the whole, you got to figure out what you're doing, the time, the day, and all of that good stuff. So, and then of course before the weekend comes in, there's some volunteering for the school and all that good stuff. So, it gets, time is precious, and try to enjoy
Mm-hmm.
it as much as possible. Uh, but yeah, that was partially what I was trying to do for tomorrow. That not going to come out probably till next week. I'll probably work on something else for the weekend, and then happy Mid Autumn Festival to anybody that celebrated in the chat. If you guys do
Oh yeah.
celebrate it, that was on the 17th. We have consumed quite a big amount of mooncakes in this household, so I am very happy.
Nice.
That was another thing. Also, yeah, Mid Autumn Festival. That was another little. I always mix up my the Chinese holidays in the house because I always want mooncake, and my wife always corrects me. She's like, "We only get mooncakes for Mid Autumn Festival,"
I
and I'm like,
mean,
"I want mooncakes all year long." So like, yeah,
you don't
so
have
they're
to.
delicious. They're delicious small pieces of beautiful desserts. Unfortunately, they're so dense, so high in calories,
Heaven.
and so not good for your health. I mean, at our age, I'm sorry, not for young kids. It's just the cholesterol level is very high. Like, it's just like, yeah, I know. Very, very fun word for everybody watching right now. He said the cholesterol word. Let's just
Hooray.
shut it down now. So it's like,
Just
nah,
yeah, like you will when I'm on life support. Just pull the plug.
pull the plug. Hand me a mooncake and pull the plug. Like, let me go out with a smile. Yeah, I might as at that point I'm like, might as well just do that. But so yeah, I like, I've been wanting not to talk about the subject, the title of the video since the beginning of the
Yeah,
video,
we had a couple
the
questions when
podcast.
we started this. So
Yeah, and I don't know how to. I don't know how to start talking about it. It's like,
no, kind of rip the band-aid off.
yeah, I mean, and so just a little bit of a BTS. Juan and I've been talking about, you know,
What
the
this is.
what this is, and the we alluded a little bit to it also when we asked, like, what's the best of our week. We haven't done that question for months.
Hmm.
We haven't actually been
Not really.
talking
Yeah.
about the best of our week for a while. And to be to be clear, this isn't, and nothing about Juan and I. It's the circumstances that we've been running the show and everything been going on, and like on a weekly basis. I feel like we're more venting to a certain point than, like, again, talking about what was the fun part of our week. Like, what was that one thing that you played with that was really cool, like a device, a tablet, or whatever,
Hmm.
and that experience. And like when we just talked about it, it was actually fun. Like, again, um yeah, like, I
We've
feel like
kind of.
it kind of changed a little bit. The show
I feel
changed.
like the conversations we started having shifted
Yeah.
from what it was that we were trying to do. And then along the way, there's just so much baggage. And I feel like we try to let people in on what it's like to try and do this YouTube stuff.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, it's like we still have to hold a lot of it back. And for me, it was realizing our episode count when we were getting into year 3. And I don't think either of us had like huge expectations that this was going to be like a massive professional career kind of show. That's not
Hmm.
why we were doing it.
No.
But
It was truly about us hanging out and
yeah,
literally just geeking out.
like
Yep.
really, the whole point of this show is like we got done with an event one time. We were just like, hey, when we talk to each other on the phone, why don't we just turn that into a podcast and other people could hang out if they wanted?
Hmm.
But I think for both of us, we still care about like the presentation and the community, and a way that you get a sense of that is also with growth.
Yeah.
And everything that you kind of hear about, like, because I just got another round of those BS, like, oh, YouTube Academy, and you can learn the best practices, and these are all the things that are great about the YouTubes. And it's like, every single time I see what Google says is like, this is how you're supposed to interact with search, or this is the metric that really motivates search rankings. And then like a news report will come out like a week later saying, oh yeah, by the way, Google was legitimately lying. They said PageRank wasn't factored into this at all anymore, when really like that was one of the most important metrics. And like, I'm shocked that there hasn't been a class action lawsuit. Google keeps selling one idea while then misrepresenting what their products really do.
Mm-hmm.
But for both of us, we wanted to create this channel because long form podcasty style content doesn't do great on a channel that
Mm-hmm.
hosts more focused and edited videos. We're not allowed to have both.
It
We're
was
not allowed
very it was
to.
either, yeah, you got some views on your podcast, but then it was starting to skew the metrics because the algorithm doesn't know what to promote. It's like, are you long form, are you short form? And I don't know how to compute.
Right.
And
And
yeah.
then we get to year 3 of producing the show, and I'm very grateful for the people that show up from week to week
Mm-hmm.
and they hang out and we have a good chat, and I love seeing people in this chat.
Yeah.
But it's also like, man, we're at like 600 subscribers. At what
After 3 years,
point
yeah, we
do
barely crossed the 600. Yeah.
do you look at that and say, like, I know we're not making this the full-time job, but we also have separate channels. So how is any of this healthy or sustainable? That the way for us to do this would either be to spend an incredible amount of money
Mm-hmm.
in like advertising and in promotion and in production for the show. It can't just be a fun casual hangout that grows organically. Nothing grows organically on YouTube. And that to me was a very upsetting kind of realization to hit at around episode 160,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, if we're going to spend time together and we're going to hang out as pals and we're going to just kind of nerd out on stuff, when we try to force a tech weekly conversation, inevitably what's going to come up now is what we're really living, which is all the frustrations of current modern consumer electronics.
Yeah.
And if we're not trying to produce a show that we expect anyone's going to watch or tune in for, we could literally do anything else with that time. Like, I could just call you up on the phone and say, hey, what did you think about Agatha all along? But we're not trying to be on the beating pulse of the trending topics to produce content out of that. We could just have that conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like
It'll
for
still
my
be an
own
hour and a
sanity,
half, not or maybe
it
2
would
hours.
still be like
depending.
2,
We'll still be way off on the
still
timing. Just for
completely
reference,
off.
that part
I,
genuine all the way, never
yeah,
once was
no,
wrong.
that's
Yeah,
completely who we are. It's
exactly.
like there's literally only been like an hour and a half of television, and you and me will stretch that into a 4-hour conversation over cold bowls of ramen.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
But
Man, I
that to
missed the
me,
ramen
Jen,
shop, man. That place. Okay, sorry.
for so legit. So, but that for me really kind of kicked my butt.
Yeah.
There is a professional quality to trying to make a weekly conversation happen. And I'm not saying we're owed anything, but I think we've gotten our answer. And our answer is the growth of an organic grassroots hangout style chat, which was kind of the fun zeitgeist before the pandemic, just
Yeah.
that kind of chill energy conversation, is not what YouTube and YouTube audiences are interested in. And we can keep trying to beat our heads against the wall. We can keep trying to force that style of conversation, or we can spend an incredible amount of money to try and popularize that conversation, or we can let it go and we
Yeah.
can spend our time doing something else. I mean, if TK, if you want to do kind of like that focused show that you used to do and you were really doing all of that, like tech support kind of question and answer kind of
I
stuff. I
that
think
that is,
audiences would love to see that come back.
I
I'd
ran it for a
love
while.
to
Yeah. Hmm.
I'd love to maybe, take that half step out of consumer electronics and maybe go back to my roots and look at opportunities to talk about film and production in Hollywood again, like where I got started.
Hmm.
I kind of miss having those kinds of conversations too, where I think we're in an era of really recycled conversations over really recycled content coming from movie studios. So if we're not happy
Hmm.
and we're not growing, and I think if we're just kind of using this as like a community, I value that we could use this as like group therapy.
Oh,
I mean, that
absolutely.
does help, and like I said, I very much appreciate everybody who's been kind of tuning in to these weekly conversations. But I think for all of our mental health, if we can't get back to finding the things that are fun and celebrating the things that are vibrant and exploring and being curious again, I've listened back to some of our episodes, man, and like I've gone on some tears and I've gone on some rants.
Hmm.
And you know what? That toxicity in the moment felt exciting, but God, I don't like who I'm turning into for how unhappy I am with all the things that are happening around us. I've always been kind of a cranky, critical, Andy Rooney or John C. Dvorak kind of person. I've always
Hmm.
been yelling at the kids to get off my lawn when I was the kid, right? Yelling at the other neighborhood kids to get off my lawn. But over the last couple of years, man, it's just taken a dive.
It does. Yeah.
And
Well, like I said, we tried, we tried hard to try to get to cover the active topics, and I think that was what I was trying to originally kind of lead into as well, because when we started this, you had a podcast, I had a podcast, and then Thursdays was our meetup kind of thing.
yeah,
But the Thursday turned into what I would typically cover on Saturdays. It ended up basically being a duplicate activity for me, where I would come up on Saturday and I'm like, I already talked about all of this 2 days ago on
yeah,
Thursday with Juan. So the Android Bay, or the podcast that I was trying to run at the time on the Saturday morning with Tech, was um it didn't feel like it was something that it felt like I was just repeating myself on a weekly basis. So that's why I ended at that show, and it was in the same boat. You're right. Running it on its own channel, the the challenge is a little bit of a BTS, like where I was getting some views on it when it was running on the tkbay channel. It died when it went over to the Android Bay channel
hmm,
because searchability was not there,
right,
and the correlation or the translation from one channel to the other did not transition as I was hoping it would at the time, because I kind of random dual for a while. So my goal is, what I'm trying to do, what I'm, I guess, trying to allude to, which I think you kind of kicked off very nicely, is so I do want to bring back the Android Bay. I don't want to bring it back in the way it was before. The challenge with it is that my Saturday mornings are no longer mine, which is because it was empty for a while, and I ended up now having school related things for my son,
yeah,
practices and stuff. So Saturdays are hard for me to be able to block the 1.5 to 2 hours that I used to do. And I was hoping to basically try to tack on to the time slot that we have here, to kind of test it out, see how would it work on a Thursday night. One of the bigger appeals about it was a Saturday morning. It was relatively the same day for everybody, like maybe later in the day, but it
hmm,
was still there. So, but I also, again, don't want to do the weekly push for it. I want to do it as like a more of a key, like when I have cool things to talk about,
hmm,
which I know is not going to make for a lot of people to be able to consistently know where it is. But I think it is, to a certain point, I just want to see how that feels. I want to see if that gets me back
yeah,
into where I enjoyed that dynamic, hit me with 1,000 questions in the middle of a show kind of thing. Where I remember, like, literally, like, that I would hit start, and by the time I'm done, it's like almost like a time lapse, like you don't know, or a
yeah.
time jump. You're like, poof, bam, an hour and a half. That's how dynamic the shows were. And yeah, so that's the goal. My goal is to try to bring it back on my side, and try to pick it up. I kind of tweeted at it about a week or so ago, kind of hinting to say, the Android Bay is coming back. I just need to figure out how to like what do we do with the best of our week? Because the best of our week is kind of a catch-all account for us. You were running, the SGGQA on it. Do I just dual it on the Android Bay and the SGGQA, or we'll have to figure that part. But yeah, we got to do something that makes sense. And it doesn't necessarily mean, because I think we talked about that too, it doesn't mean that we won't have, every once in a while we'll have like a where we convene for something, maybe special events and stuff like that. I feel like those are always fun to kind of recap together. So you may see some stuff on the channel. We'll tweet at you guys and let you know in advance. Tweet, Thread, and Gram and Mastodon. Sorry. But when we started the show, those were not all the options. Let's just say that.
God. And again, it's like kind of pointing to just how fractured.
Yeah.
It's like these communities broke. Reddit broke. Twitter broke.
Yeah, my God.
Everything got spread out. And I mean, it's like it is such a Herculean effort going to every place to say, hey, by the way, we used to enjoy all hanging out and chatting and stuff like that. So if you'd still like to do that, that still happens. But I feel like it was important to call this, this is not a goodbye. It's not like TK and I are breaking up.
No. And this is, again,
that's not what this is.
This is not a TK and I. Sorry, TK and I. It's not a Juan and I thing. It's the experiment ran its course, I feel like, to a certain point, and
we got the info we needed.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, and again, like I said, it went from the best of our week, which is the title of the show, to the what's bothering us this week, and I feel like that's. I mean, although you guys were supporting, which is again very, very, very grateful on that.
It's not a good place for us to be. I don't feel like we're making our best content.
and I feel like to a certain point we want to provide you guys with the best opportunity. And like I said, it's just
it was supposed to be the best.
The show changed
supposed to be the best of our
this week. Exactly, and it stopped being that when we were chasing, SEOs and titles, trying to increase and trying to see if there's a way to get the searchability running on it and all of that. So either way, again, we're hopeful. Actually, one of the other things I talked to Juan about it as well is trying to bring back the phone channel. So maybe we can need to figure something out in the near future to try to collab again.
Good showdown.
Yeah, a little bit more, just back in the old, I still remember, man, the most the most challenging podcast we've ever done was at Balboa Park in the rain and really bad connection. Like it was not working. Like it was just like, oh my God. And that was fun. That was absolutely fun.
It was like problem solving in the worst conditions.
No. The whole park was empty. It was pouring cats and dogs, and we were sitting under one of those awnings. Yeah, man, those were the days. That was like the early stages of this. We ran it on a Galaxy or some. I think it was a Galaxy at the time, or no, it was an Xperia. It was either a Galaxy or an Xperia, one of the two that could handle StreamYard. That was I remember because the audio as well. So. Remembering the show with everything in there, I say we have a lot of good memories, some interesting conversations. But and the shows are obviously going to stay up on YouTube. You can check them out. Replay. Hopefully, we'll get some love on all of that stuff. So
and I want to kind of reassure, this is an opportunity for us to spend time on other projects and to hopefully make things that everybody enjoys. But that this specific channel isn't just being shuttered. Right? This to me is like the perfect place where, like TK was saying, if we're at a trade show, and we want to share that experience of seeing new silicon or messing around at a taqueria outside CES or something like that,
or Shake Shack, whichever comes first. Yeah, no problem.
Right?
Probably more faster.
Smash burger or something. I don't know. Whatever what we're going to be working on, that you still might see something pop up from this channel. It's not to say immediately unsubscribe and get on with your lives. We need a place where it makes sense for us to collaborate and to share these stories and to work together on stuff. And I don't know how to express, like, YouTube is not amenable to that. YouTube has become this incredibly divisive and toxic place where the idea of playlists has been completely devalued. The idea of collaboration is really more difficult than it's ever been. We're struggling on this because we wanted to make a channel together where both of us have decent medium-sized individual YouTube channels,
Yeah.
like not to air all of our laundry and stuff, but I get more subscribers in a month on my personal channel than we have on this podcasting channel over 3 years. And there's no way to link those ideas to say two decently performing medium-sized tech channels are working together to provide this content in a way that doesn't harm
The main
our
channels.
personal channels, our main channels. But there's no incentive for us to try and link all of this stuff and to do all of this extra work and to build up a new channel. It is such a strange place to be, because you would think, oh, hey, these are two channels, they're decently successful, they're continuing to grow, they're organically growing,
Mm-hmm.
and now the two hosts of these channels are going to work together on a new property, and then nothing happens. And I don't know how to like sort of share that experience with an audience, and I don't know how to conceptualize that, and I don't know how to improve it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how to fix that. This is a systemic platform issue. And it seems like YouTube is just really trying to say, like, hey, you've got to dedicate your whole life to this one niche of a niche of a niche to build up this one new channel, which isn't what either of us do. We don't work that way. So I hope people will still continue to be along for the ride and not to kind of like completely forget. If you see a notification pop up from this channel, I'm hoping it'll be TK maybe putting together something fun
Mm-hmm.
and getting back into live streaming and like kind of co-streaming that just to kind of
Yeah.
build up the momentum on it. Like those types of experiences we don't want to let go of. And we did put a ton of energy into just keeping this going to get the data that we wanted to get out of an experiment here on a new channel.
Absolutely.
But it's also just that last plea. I don't know how to frame this any other way than just to point blank tell people, like, never before has it been more important to actively support the content you like. That sounds like such a no-brainer. But I go on Threads, I peek in once a month-ish on Twitter. I still poke around on Blue Sky and all these other social media platforms. And it is so easy to trip over all of the content and bad takes and engagement bait and rage bait that people put out, fart out on the regular. And that gets shared like crazy because people want to shame the person who has the bad take, and that gets commented on like crazy, and that gets cut up into shorts and cut up into reels, and people react to it. And then you say something like, well, but what about the content you like? Oh, yeah, obviously we support the people we like, totally. And then you'll see someone make just an incredible video and it gets like 2 hearts. And you're like, I know I'm getting real preachy and I'm getting real precious about it. But it's not just TK and I, it's everybody. Think of every single YouTuber that you used to love to watch technical deep dives and gadget analysis and really well formed opinions and thoughts. And it wasn't just, Raid Shadow Legends fodder so that they could put in more affiliate links. Think of every single YouTuber that doesn't exist anymore. Think about all of the tech blogs that have completely shuttered.
Mm-hmm.
Think about like the resources that went into AnandTech, and now AnandTech is gone. Oh, well, but they didn't do video. And like, did you want to watch a 6-hour video on a processor to get the technical information that would have been in an AnandTech review? No, the written word was the right place to consume that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we say, like, if you're not out there supporting the content you like, at least as much as the content you're arguing with or trying to shame, then we can't be surprised when this stuff evaporates. And that's not where TK and I are, but we did get what we needed to learn out of trying to set up a new channel for a podcast.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that has kind of, we've come to a point where that experiment has run its course.
Absolutely. The ramen is basically pretty cold at this point.
Yeah. The noodles have run dry. I was trying to yes and your metaphor.
Yeah, I
there,
know.
and
I know. I did not
completely
set that up
failed.
correctly. Like, yeah, the bowls are empty. No. So with that being said, no, seriously, we hope that you guys are doing great and that you keep supporting the content creators, the content that you like, as much as you support any of the other content that you do. And we do appreciate everybody, every single one of you guys hanging out with us for the last, oh my God, 172 Thursdays. Even though we skipped a few because I was like out a couple of times.
But I mean, that
Yeah.
number is still the number we did. It wasn't
Yeah.
contiguous.
Yeah. No. So in retrospect, it was even longer of a duration with the breaks or sometimes that we've had.
Yeah, it
But it is fun, and we are. I mean, and again, we don't know in the future what else we may do, but the reality is where we are right now is we need to be able to focus on what it is obviously our main content, which is the way we first met in the first place. The way we met was based on our main channels, and everybody kind of like, the community, the massive supporting community of Juan, Patreon. Of course, if you're listening to this, make sure to please check that out, because literally like 99% of what we have in the chats right now are diehard Juan fans, and obviously fans of the channel, myself
both
as
of
well.
us.
They hang out. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I mean, like the way we got introduced was through you. So the center of the conversation is always going to be Mr. Some Gadget Guy, Mr. Some audio guy, Mr. Juan Bagnell or Juan Carlos Bagnell, all the good stuff. So we'll see. Next week, as I said, I'm going to be unfortunately on location, so I am not going to be able to do a show, although I may try, but we'll have to kind of wing it from there. And the Android Bay is primarily where I'm going to be landing in. I may dual post on this for some time, but the ultimate goal is to try to rebuild or try to build the Android Bay channel into some sort of again, kind of like the fun podcasting, Q&As, what you've been doing, what are you doing, what's going on, what do you think about this, that type of thing. And I may start doing them on location depending on how I'm able to do that. It's just that I usually don't travel very tech heavy, if that makes sense. I'm like very light because they're quick trips, but we'll have to see. So yeah, for sure. And
it's don't be shy.
No.
Reach out, say hey.
We're still on the tweets, on the blur, on the bird, and the blue skies and the mastodons and the threads, and I'm trying to be more proactive on thread. I'll say that.
You got to work on your social media.
I got to find time. It's like that's literally what it is. I have to find time. Day job has been a little bit busy lately, and it's been consuming a lot of my time where I literally go into a void during the day, and that's hard. So yeah, I got to figure that part out. But anyways, don't worry about that part. Have the best time of your week. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And hopefully the weather is getting a little bit better where you guys are. We're going to get a little bit more heat for a short time, but then hopefully settling into some cooler vibes and cooler weathers. And Juan, we need to set some time up for another lunch, I'm sure, in the near future.
Oh yeah,
we can hang out again.
Garlic chicken.
Absolutely, dude. Yes. It's better when it's cold. Be safe, stay safe, and we'll see you when we see you. I don't want to say we'll see you next week, but make sure to catch Juan on Monday with the SGGQA, because that is still definitely going on. So for sure.
Thanks.
But take care, everybody, and as always, thank you very much.